All right, welcome. My name is Samuel Patrick. I'm here from LFOD Life, and I am joined by Maria and Matt from the Record Co. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Congrats.
Thanks. We're very tired and very excited at the same time. It's been pretty awesome.
Joyful sort of cartoon exhaustion where at any moment we might just fall over in a single frame and be asleep for a month. But hopefully that won't happen in the next 6 or 7 minutes.
we got it. We got this. But if you do fall asleep, you've definitely earned that rest. So you're welcome to that. So let's jump right into it. We had some photos there that you guys shared with me from the new space. What were we looking at? What is this?
This is a brand new community music workspace. TRC is going to be turning 10 years old next month in March of 2021, but it's only going to be our 2.5-month anniversary at the new space. So we've only been open for about a week. It's 4 recording studios, 15 rehearsal spaces, and a couple of other little areas that are useful, and other areas that we can use to run into each other and hang out once it is safe to do that again. We're really excited about that. And definitely a huge upgrade from our old space, which was just 2 recording studios.
It's a hub, right? What we just managed to get done through a year of COVID was building a 12,500 square foot hub for people who make music and are interested in making music to get together and create stuff. And like Maria said, run into each other. You saw some of those common areas in the photos. There's coffee and hang space, and even, in the short amount of time we've been open and with the, relatively low number of sessions that we've hosted so far, although I think we cracked the 100 session mark yesterday, day before yesterday. So we've done a few. COVID is so totally no fun. Everybody just, you at least you can see half of their face. Like all they want to do is hang out in that common area. And we're constantly out there going, get back to your room and close the door. So looking forward to the days where we don't have to send people back to their rooms. We feel very much like the curmudgeonly parent, get to your room.
Yeah.
Until further notice. That's what you have to do.
But that's for the good of everyone, because then you'll actually be able to use those spaces when the time comes.
Yes.
It won't be TRC, COVID outbreak center.
Exactly.
So you have 15 rehearsal spaces, which I, as someone who's a drummer and has needed those rehearsal spaces in the past, I'm excited to hear that. That's definitely new. And for studios, what type of equipment are in these?
You want me to take it, Maria?
Yeah, go for it.
So the rehearsal studios are backlined with a rotating collection of instruments and amplification and microphones, depending on what you need that day. So for example, if you were coming in for a session, Samuel, you'd say, I need a drum set and a microphone because I'm going to do, the Phil Collins thing or whatever. I
got it.
Yeah. All right, cool. Now that's all going to be stuck in our heads for the rest of the day. You'd say, I need a drum set, I need a microphone, and I need a keyboard, and it comes with the coffee comes with it. You get that on your way to the room. But anyway, and then we would set those things up for you. So similarly, a jazz band could say we need a drum set, keyboard, and a guitar amplifier. And when they showed up, there'd be everything they needed in their room waiting for them, so they could just walk in and play. The recording studios are similar. So everything that you need in there to make a recording, computer interfaces, lots of great software, control surfaces to get hands-on with your mix or whatever it is you're creating. And that same collection of, or a similar collection of instruments that you can use, drum sets, guitar amplifiers, things you might need to make that recording, and a large collection of floating microphones as well to choose from. So you can come in and basically put together a wish list, and we'll bring you a whole pile of mics for you to get whatever recording you're looking to get done. The only thing we don't provide are staff and creative services. So you bring your own engineer, or you act as your own recording engineer, which a lot of people do, and that's part of the thing. It's like making sure that those gigs stay out in the community, and making sure that artists have the opportunity to vet and hire their own people. We're a music hotel, would be one way to
I
put
like
it.
it. I'm glad you mentioned
you can actually afford it.
right, an affordable music hotel. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's the main difference, I'd say, is you don't bring you bring your own engineer when you go to the record co. But it's true that you guys can help folks find engineers as well, correct?
Yeah, we have a Facebook group right now called TRC Network, and people post in there about their projects, and there's tons of engineers in there just ready to hop on any gigs that look like they're related to them. But we are looking for other ways, like a better, more robust way to link people up with each other, not just for recording engineering, but any creative thing. And it doesn't even have to take place at TRC. If you're looking to collab with anyone about anything, we want to help people do that, because we've been hearing from the community that would be really helpful. There's tons of recording engineers in Boston. They want gigs. They're awesome. We want to get them those gigs. So every recording session at TRC is hosted by a freelance engineer. And it's also a great place for people to come in and work on their engineering chops, even if they're not already an established professional. So we can't promise that someone who's brand new to engineering, getting out of their home studio for the first time, is going to get as much done as like a Grammy winner or a Grammy nominee that comes to work, because we do serve every range of career level. But we can promise, like, hey, maybe you can afford to come in and just like check out the space and fool around for a while and just like see what happens, get acquainted with a professional studio and hone in on your skills.
And I've heard that you're getting pretty good results from new recording professionals, I guess.
Recordists.
Yeah.
We spent a whole heck of a lot of time in selecting equipment. We had a lot of really smart, and just the technical configuration of the space. We had a lot of really, really smart people involved. A really amazing producer and educator named Aaron Barra. We have a AV integrator named Rob, and his company Audier, and together, and a bunch of others as well, that all put our heads together on how to make the facility as technologically accessible as possible. And to Maria's point about serving this wide range of professionals, like, how do you make one environment that works it's flexible enough for the career-oriented professional, but also intuitive enough for someone who's making that transition from just recording with a USB microphone at home to actually working in a professional commercial type studio. And so, I mean, there's a bunch of things, and I won't bore you with it, but I think the biggest one that we adopted was a very flexible audio interface that provides both a Pro Tools HDX environment, which is kind of where we came from. It's like an Avid Pro Tools digital signal processing thing environment. But it also provides, and maybe even a level above that, it provides Dante flexibility. So the whole facility is wired so that you can use any one room in combination with another room. So for example, if you wanted to host an event in Studio A, you could live stream and mix that event from a different control room. So you can kind of interconnect the studios using that network. And then on the lower, more accessible end, those interfaces also have Thunderbolt, which enables you to use any DAW that you like. So we have way more audio softwares than we used to have in the old space, including things like GarageBand and PreSonus Studio One, and Fruity Loops. Actually, that's on the list. We got to install it, but it's on the list.
All right.
Yeah, you can even bring your own laptop. So you can bring your computer, plug in your machine, and keep working exactly the way that you would have worked at home using all of our equipment.
That's cool. So if you book the space and you're like, we're going to try this, and you're finding out my workflow's not there yet, no worries. Just pop into GarageBand, get it done, still accomplish something, and get a taste of a more robust experience. I like that a lot. And a big part, I don't want to skip over this. One of my favorite photos from the intro is the Zoom welcome desk. I definitely want to speak about that and a little bit the safety that's taking place here at the Record Co. So, I mean,
who better to explain it than the person who designed it, Maria Bartolotta.
Yeah, it's been creativity's everywhere, right? So coming up with ways to keep people as safe as possible during COVID was definitely a big project. And where we're at now, to give you an idea of what it'd be like to come to TRC, when you arrive, you fill out a quick COVID questionnaire, which are like the COVID questionnaire questions about like, has anyone in you or anyone in your household tested positive for COVID in the last 14 days? 3 super simple questions like that. And if people can honestly answer that they're good on all of those, then we buzz people in if they're wearing a mask over their mouth and nose. And then we give people the rundown about wearing masks in all the common areas. But then when you're in the studio with just you and your group, you can all make your own call about masks. It's just when you're out and about, walking around, getting a coffee, going to the bathroom, whatever. And the other thing that we did was upgrade our HVAC system. So the airflow zones, we've learned more about HVAC than we ever thought we would in working in music. But there's every room has its own airflow. So you're not even sharing air with the room next to you. And we already did this because it was good for acoustical treatment. You don't want to hear the drummer in the studio next to you through the pipes after through the vents after spending all this money on soundproofing and stuff. So we already had some things in place from a musical perspective, and then we just had some extra time to do some fundraising and upgrade our to lab grade filters and stuff like that. So the airflow is a really big part of the safety there.
Yeah, it's almost like perfect timing for the pandemic for you guys. Like, luckily you were already renovating, so you were able to pivot and adjust a little bit, right?
Totally. Yeah, we made some fine adjustments to what was already a pretty robust air conditioning system. As Maria mentioned, some filtering. We added UV lighting, germicidal lighting to the duct. So right before you breathe any air in that's coming out of a duct, it's been blasted by UV light to remove any remaining bacteria or viruses. And the big one is what Maria already said, which is that you can close the door of your recording or rehearsal studio and confidently know that the air you're breathing in is not being shared with anyone else in the facility. Once you're in your room and you shut the door, it's just about as safe as it gets, to be honest. I know I'm a little biased, but it's really safe.
And that's why we have the Zoom front desk. So we have our front desk person, which is sometimes me, in one of the rehearsal rooms that's like just for the front desk. And there's a Zoom call going on. There's a computer screen with the front desk person's face on it sitting at the front desk. So that's how we talk. And we can appear in real life with masks on if need be, because we're in the building. And we got like a big teddy bear sitting behind the front desk. It's pretty fun, honestly. I'm really happy with how well it's been working.
That's great. And yeah, I mean, is there a time limit? Like, are people going to start living there? It sounds pretty like a good move, maybe.
I remember back when we were in front of an empty whiteboard saying, okay, we've got 2 recording studios that are as busy as they can possibly be. We're turning people away all the time. What the heck are we going to do? And somebody stood up. It might have been me, but I can't totally remember. Somebody stood up and wrote artist housing on the whiteboard. And then somebody else was like, we are nowhere near capitalized for that. Like, there's not enough money that we could possibly access to be able to do that well right now, but go ahead and put that in the parking lot for a future.
I love that that's in the parking lot. This is great news. So
it is something we think about. It's like, how do we want to be as accessible as possible. And sure, our location is, in between, kind of in the triangle between downtown and Dorchester and Roxbury, and it it's kind of a weird neighborhood, and that sort of works for us. It's like an industrial kind of zone, and so it is accessible physically to most or a lot of people. But when it comes to becoming even more accessible, we've got to figure out where are the neighborhoods and who are the people that we're not able to reach, or for whom this location is not a good fit. And we have to seek those people out and figure out how to not only reach out to them to bring them to our location, but also go to them and bring them the kind of resources they need. So it does sound a little insane, but the idea of people being able to walk out their front door and access music making space, or even access music making space without leaving their apartment building, it's not that crazy.
It doesn't sound crazy to me at all. In fact, hopefully we'll talk more about this after the interview. That's exciting news. But I think it kind of speaks to your guys' overall mission and goals. And this was a question I wanted to ask anyway. You've been around coming up on 10 years. And obviously you hit a certain point and you realized, okay, we need to do a renovation. There's more we can do. We can offer more. Can you talk a little bit about what led to the creation of the record company, and then how, like, what you learned along the way and how you sort of evolved to understand your role in things and, where we're headed here?
Go ahead and start that one, Matt.
I can pass it to you when we get to year 6. So here's
Yeah.
30 seconds of 5 years and 30 seconds. There are not a whole lot of accessible, affordable, let's say sort of open source places to make music. At the inception of the Record Co., we were thinking mostly about recording. And of course, now we think more broadly than just making recordings. But basically, we need to build a recording studio that belongs to everyone because it belongs to no one. And members of the music making community in Boston don't actually need to own a recording studio. They just need to be able to access a recording studio on a regular basis. So let's build one shared resource. And the theory was that resource could actually be nicer and more flexible than it would be if it were owned by any one person as a result of us collectively sharing the resource. So obviously, this isn't a new concept.
Right.
Let's pool our resources and therefore have something that's more useful for all of us. It's an abundance mindset. And then Maria can pick it up. We experimented with a bunch of programming and learned kind of what our lane was. But take it away, Maria.
Yeah, the way that we see our place in the creative ecosystem is that there is a huge space crisis in Boston, especially for artists, especially creative space. So we've experimented with doing in the past different programs like youth development, for example, but then we realized there's all these organizations, all these awesome community organizations who are already doing this work so much better than we could do it when we're just trying to figure it out. So instead of duplicating those efforts, why don't we focus on what we do best and do it really well, provide that space, and let these other community organizations and individuals and independent artists come in and use that space for whatever they want. Because that's really what they need. They already rock at all this other stuff.
That was a tough transition, right? To go from providing workshops and programming for young people, and even to some extent producing. Think about the Beast compilation album that we. Oh, there it is.
I was hoping it would come off.
It'll never go away. It's always here. That was an incredible project that was all about, both creating paid work for local artists and showcasing the incredible talent that we have here. And that was even something as worthwhile as it is that we had to put on pause to say, let's focus on, doubling, in reality, like 10xing, quadrupling, 10xing down on the thing that we believe is our core, our real core competency and our core purpose, which is provide a square foot of high quality space for someone to make stuff in. And if we can do that really well, then a lot of these other things will happen, right? There will be an organization or an individual who wants to do the next Beast compilation, and we can host that project for someone else who wants to produce it. There will be, as Maria said, a really excellent youth developer who wants to expand the youth programming that they're doing to include a professional recording studio like ours, and we can host that, and we can help enable them to do the thing they do well in a new space or a new context. And so I would say that's the biggest challenge when I think about the last 10 years and starting an organization and kind of finding your lane is really hard. And I'm grateful that we were able to do it at year 6 or year 7, because I think sometimes it takes 20 years, and so as much as I feel like I wish that this had happened faster, I also am grateful that we've been able to accomplish what we've been able to accomplish in only 10 years. It's not actually that much time.
It's not at all. It feels like it, but no, not when you're in it, you know. So congrats on what you've accomplished. I think it's been really cool to see it develop, and because yeah, I mean, I think I've been aware of you guys from the beginning when you were this kind of wild place where you could get a 24-hour block of studio time for like $100 or something like this. Like
4 a.m. is not a good start time for a recording session. Okay, like I from the early days when it was just, I mean, it's really just me there at the beginning, you know, where there were 3 or 4 sessions a day in the one studio we were running, and I would come back at 2 in the morning from my apartment, which was across the street, and sweep the floor and let the next person take out the trash and let the next person in. And they would legitimately start a recording session at 2 in the morning. And eventually we had to say, not just for our own sanity, but also because doesn't tend to be a good outcome when you start working at 2 in the morning. We had to say, all right, let's limit this to the other thing that we ended up changing recording wise was around lengths of sessions. So we used to have a 6-hour offering, and now the recording sessions book in 4-hour increments. So it's either 4 or 8 or 9 hours when you string blocks together. That 6-hour increment, there's something wrong with that. It's like the wrong amount of time. It's like you think you can get more done than you can in 6 hours. So anyway, we're in the weeds now, but
it's
funny
good.
to
That's
think.
the type of thought, you're looking out for people. Like, you don't actually want 6 hours. Trust us. We know.
It's a hard line, Maria, I know you and I talk about this all the time. It's like, how do we have grown up in a very individualistic world that tells us from a customer service and, sort of traditional capitalistic customer service says the customer is always right. And it's like, sometimes the customer is wrong, and it's what it's really about. It's not about whether or not you're right. It's about how do we help to be nurturing and help them understand that, it's, and we've all seen that go the wrong way, where someone's trying to, and I'm not saying it very well, but that I think characterizes a lot of how we approach serving people who are in the space. Is how do we be nurturing and help them discover something about the way they want to work, or the way that they can most effectively work, without micromanaging or lording over what they're doing. We just let you in. We open the door, you go in there. There's a button on the phone if you need help, but do your own thing. Experiential learning, I guess, would be a better way to put it.
I can attest to that as well. And I do need to thank you guys before we get off here. Season 6 of LFOD Radio basically happened because you guys were kind enough to open up your Newberry space to us, your temporary offices there. And it was really like that. You're like, yeah, come in. This is the time you can do it. And, we figured it out. We set up a little studio, and as long as we put everything back when we were done, and a pretty good season came out of it. So we're appreciative, and it speaks to, it wasn't, it didn't feel like we were pulling teeth getting you guys to help us out like that. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, pleasure to have you there.
And there
Music,
were people,
not dentistry.
I like that. And we'd meet people too. Before us, there'd be incredible groups meeting, talking about really important stuff. There was a lot going on. So you guys are the real deal. I love that the goal is just music for everybody too. I really love that it says on your website, it's as easy as like going to the park and getting a game together. I love that. So how can people book a session? Where can they connect with you guys? Did I miss anything?
Thank you. Don't think you missed anything. So head to our website, therecordco.org. You can create an account on there, and that's how you see what's available on the schedule, and you can book sessions. If you're interested in engineering sessions in a recording studio, make sure you check yes on I want to engineer at TRC, and you'll automatically receive information on how to sign up for a free engineer orientation, which is virtual right now. And that's just like a quick consultation. Here's where all our stuff is. What are you trying to do? Do you want any advice? It's a great way to get set up, no matter what level experience you are with engineering. If you're looking for an engineer, hit us up. We'll send you information on how to get linked up with awesome freelancers in the city. Right now, we are open Wednesday through Sunday. only until about 8 or 9 p.m. But after COVID is over, we will be open eventually 7 days a week and nice and late at night. But for right now, that's what we're looking at, and really excited to see more people there making music. It's been going great. As long as you're respectful about COVID, and everyone else around you will be too. So I personally feel very safe there as a very COVID conscious, safe person, and we'd love to see music makers there.
That's
I would say
great.
+1 on that. I'd say +1 on how awesome and respectful all the people have been in the space so far. It's been just we're so grateful for everybody who's like really taking it as seriously as we are. And if you want to be in a community of like-minded people who are making music, but also being as safe as possible, then please come see us.
That's excellent. And one more time, therecordco.org, correct?
Yes.
You can find
Excellent.
us on Instagram at The Record Co. TRC, or on Facebook at facebook.com/TheRecordCo.
Excellent. Do you guys have a message to the artists tuned in before we get out of here?
Real quick, shout out to Ari, our marketing manager, who helped us get all this set up. And when you follow us on socials, it looks awesome and hilarious and fun, because she's awesome and hilarious and fun. And to all you artists out there, thank you for making stuff. Thank you for creating, especially during this time. Your work is important.
I +1 on that too. Thank you so much for, we can't wait to be able to see your whole face, but just the opportunity to get to provide space and to see you all making stuff again after having been under construction for a year has been such a joy. And, we hope that when you come in and use the space, that it lifts you up as much as it lifts us up to see you using the space. So thank you.
That's awesome. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you being a part of this and coming to share this story, because it's, I'm really excited with what's going to happen here. So
thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you,
Onward.
guys. Yes, sir. And I'll be there soon. I got to have to come through and check it out and do a little review. All right.
Okay.
Peace.